Hey guys, Keith here with Dad's 2 cents. Giving you my 2 cents tonight. I'm just wondering where all of the single women are that are 50 plus, because they're not around here. I've looked and they ain't here. I don't know where they're at, but they ain't here. Even over 40, I mean, that's still, I'm almost 60. That may be robbing the cradle a little bit, but it's still, if they're okay with it, I'm okay with it. But Uh, just hard to find somebody. Seems like that, of that age bracket that's single. You know, um, and I'm a widower. My wife passed away a little over 4 years ago, and so I've I've had my eyes open. I guess looking a little bit for a while, and not sure now. I'm kind of not even sure if I want to date much, really, but that's a whole another video. But I'm just, truthfully, there's just I don't know where they're at anyway. I don't know where the single women are that are in my age bracket, or even over 60. Even I mean, um, and it's just hard to find anybody, especially in my social circles. Of course, I work from home, which is great and it sucks all at the same time, because it's great in, you don't have to fight traffic and deal with, weather and things like that. And it's nice to, show up in your pajamas every day or whatever you want to wear and have there's a lot of freedom to it. It's great. But you don't meet people, personally. I talk to people on the phone and of course all my coworkers, I talk to them on the phone or message them and stuff like that. But I don't meet people face to face in the job. And sometimes it's not good to date, people in the job anyway. That can cause problems. And sometimes it works out, but sometimes if it doesn't work out, it's a real problem. It could really be a problem. And same way with customers, dating customers could be a problem too if you know, are in a business where you meet people face to face and you get to dating them and then things go south. You could lose a customer because it's just because if nothing else, even if something doesn't go bad wrong, just the awkwardness, right? But just finding somebody, that's the thing, is finding somebody that's single, that's my age. I see a lot of people that are maybe single, but they're way young. When you get to be 60, it seems like everybody's a kid. You know what I mean? It's just, and I remember being the kid thinking, good Lord, he's old, she's a, but now I'm the guy, and so, it's just where they're at, even at church, I don't know anybody at church that's single that's around my age. I just don't. I don't know anybody. I mean, there's occasionally I run into people at Walmart, a grocery store, or I go to a thrift store, stuff like that. And you see somebody that's you're pretty sure they're around my age based on the hair color or whatever, the wrinkles, maybe whatever. You kind of get an idea that they're maybe in my league, in my age range, but and they don't have a ring on. But I don't know about you guys, but to me it's hard to. I'm pretty outgoing, and I can strike up a conversation with anybody, but I think it's tough to just walk up to a woman in a store, and just hit on them, and say, hey, you want to go out Saturday? That just comes across creepy to me, and I don't want to be the creepy old man. I think you have to kind of get to know somebody because, especially for a woman, women have to be careful, and there's a lot of crazy people out there, crazy guys, that are violent, that are, predators of all kind. They're financial predators, or just want they're maybe after you for your money, or they're sexual predators, whatever the case might be, and you got to be careful. And you have to, and even men have to be careful. Women can be, that way too, and be after your money or whatever. But so if you get to know somebody, hopefully, if you're in a setting where you kind of get to know somebody over a period of time, and then before you even date them, you're probably going to see if they have a if they're tend to be angry or have an attitude once in a while. You're probably going to see that come out, at some point before you ask them out, But somebody in a store, they may seem fine, and maybe on their best behavior, or They may not. I've met people in the store, and maybe see somebody that, oh, she's kind of cute, and maybe I kind of, I'm in her area anyway, or maybe I make myself available a little bit, kind of, and then, you know, she gives me a look, like get the hell out of here, and you're just like, okay, you get that feeling like, okay, I don't want to be around this person anyway, because when I see red flags go up, if I see a pink flag go up, I'm out just about. You know what I mean? I'm, orange even. I mean, I'm just. They don't have to be red flags. I'm just kind of like, I don't have time for this. Okay, I'm 60 years old. I haven't dated in many years because I was married for so many years, and so. It'd have been a problem if I'd been dating during that time. I'll be honest with you. And so when you're married, you don't date. You can date your spouse, have fun, of course, but you know what I mean. You're not dating. You're married now. So anyway, so it's been a long time, but I have been in situations and I've been in relationships, even with my wife. I love my wife and she was great in so many ways. But when you're married several years, you deal with things, and so you kind of. There's things you don't want to deal with again if you don't have to. And so when I start seeing red flags, I'm like, oh, I'm out, before I'm even in sometimes, And, but, it's hard to really get to know somebody. And let's say just approaching somebody at a store seems like, say, kind of a little bit weird to me. And I think it would maybe come across weird to them too. And they may think you're attractive even or cute or whatever, but they don't know you. They don't have any, you could be anybody or anything. You could escape from prison just a few minutes ago. They don't know, and like I say, same goes for guys looking for girls. Whatever you have to be careful. But the best way for me, I think, is to find somebody in a setting where you're kind of friends first. You get to know that person. But I don't know what settings those are, and I don't know where the women are. That's the thing. Where are the single women? So that's my question for you guys tonight, and you women tonight. Where are you guys? If you're all in Canada, maybe I need to move to Canada. I don't know. Maybe the the single women pool is bigger there, or if it's in a different state, maybe I need to move there. I don't know. It's difficult, and maybe you have the same problem. And I joke around about it, but it I think even at different, I have teenagers, my kids, and they have the same problem I do. Finding somebody that's their age that, and just meeting people, just being in a setting to meet people. I'm sure there's a lot of single people that are teenagers, right? A lot more of them available, and 17, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, they're single, but where are they? Where to meet them, for my kids, not me. Okay. Make sure if you're just tuning in to this part, I was like, well, what? Don't take it out of context. But so even when the pool is great, it's a matter of where are these people at and how to meet them and that kind of thing. So if you have some, tips on that, let me know, put it in the comments. Like I say, I know I mentioned in another video, as far as making friends, even, whether you're trying to date or not, as church, there's, being in different, part of different events, or a hobby where groups, things like that, in the local groups, but also finding a group that you want to be a part of. What are you into? I'm sure there's all kinds of different groups. I just haven't found one that really fits what I want to do. And I know a friend of mine met his wife at a trout fishing. It was like opening day of trout season or something, I think it was, and she was out trout fishing, and somehow they hooked up and got married. Shortly afterwards. It was not too long after, it seemed like. So anyway, and he'd been single for me. He was up in he's 40ish, I would say, somewhere around in there, and never been married. So I know they're out there, but it's just, man, finding the right one, and where are they, and where do you look, and and that kind of thing. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and you women may have reply and say, I'm right here, we're right here, we're everywhere, and then you may say, you're a creepy old man, I don't want anything to do with you anyway, so I'm glad I don't live close to you, and that's fine too. So you got to meet the right person. You got to meet somebody that you're compatible with. That's the thing. And everybody's got different wants and needs and desires and hobbies and likes and dislikes and opinions and all that kind of thing. So I just it's not just about finding somebody that's at the right age bracket that is single, but also finding somebody that's compatible. So let me make that clear. I'm not just looking for somebody that's 50 plus and single. I'll take her. No, 50 plus, 40 plus, upper 30s. I don't know. You're like, oh, now you're really getting creepy. Okay, shut up. All right, yeah. So, all right, so I'll leave that alone. But anyway, so not just somebody that's in my age range, but and that's single, but also somebody that is compatible, and we have similar likes and dislikes and things like that. And so, because that's important. That's the most important. Hopefully you need to be attracted to somebody, I believe. But that attraction is not just a physical attraction; it's a personality attraction. Are they? Do you like to laugh? Well, you want to find somebody that likes to laugh and have fun and smiles a lot. You don't want somebody with an attitude and frowns all the time. I don't want that myself. I don't want that. So, somebody single, somebody in my age bracket, compatible. That's what I'd be looking for, and hopefully that's what you're looking for. And I hope you find them. And hey, listen, if you found them, put in the comments, tell me your story. And not just me, but tell it, and so the rest of us can see it too, and people that's replying and commenting on this video and can see it, and it'd be encouraging to all of us to say, hey, I met my new wife, my husband here or there, whatever, and so you widows, divorcees, whatever, whatever you've been through. Let me know how you've met your significant other, and share your story. We love to hear it. I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you could give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us, and check out our other videos, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks.